Hello and welcome back to Operations with Void. This week we will be going over defense of Naval Station Newport, specifically in a carrier, and for an example I will be using the Graf Zeppelin. Now, the Graf Zeppelin isn't the best carrier to use as in the carrier mode. The planes are okay, the dive bombers are difficult to use. They're supposed to be easy, but it actually makes them difficult. The attack aircraft are difficult, very difficult to use because they have the long aiming reticle, have almost no payload, and all the planes have no armor or health. The torpedoes are difficult to use because unlike the German tech tree, the torpedoes are slow. Very, very slow. In fact, we'll go to the torpedo. They have 35 knots. 35 knot torpedoes. That's British level of slow torpedoes. They go 6 kilometers, so you can hit things from far away, but they are very slow torpedoes. Attack aircraft with... The attack aircraft are actually slower than the other aircraft. And that feature remains on the other German tech tree ships. But the bombs are armor piercing, just like the tech tree, whereas the tier 6 Lowenhart is the one that gets the high explosive bombs. But anyways, I guess we'll talk more about the ship in game. But yeah, we'll go into Newport in a carrier. Now, I don't have many Newport videos recorded for some reason. This is a video back in January when I was divvying with some friends. And as you see here, before the battle even starts, I'm setting the waypoints for the carrier. When doing a carrier in Newport, you kind of want to enter the battle early so you can set those waypoints so you have the autopilot going. What we're doing is we're putting our carrier as close as possible to the battlefield to increase our damage, increasing our theoretical damage per minute, because if you reduce the time your planes have to fly to the target, you are increasing the amount of damage you can do. Now, I'm just bringing out rocket planes because I'm not planning on doing much this wave. I don't want to waste the bombers here because they launch their fighter aircrafts, and I don't want to run out of planes. And the attack aircraft, they are the throwaway aircraft in Graf Zeppelin. So we're just baiting out fighters, and hopefully that'll be enough to lead, and we'll get a hit. Yeah, we get one rocket. It only shoots out like 8 rockets. So you lead very far and then you might hit the stern of the ship. And yeah, we came in too early, although we were being chased by fighters. Hey, we got a kill with the fire. The torpedo planes, because you actually get to throw 3 torps at once with Graf Zeppelin, they could be considered the main damage dealers. The bombs are also, if you get citadels, are good. So the problem was if. Bombs are iffy. And notice how we are giving lots of lead. Lots of lead. And there we go. We got all 3 torpedoes to hit. These torpedoes are that slow. You have to give lots of lead. I'm not sure if I give this Yahagi enough lead. And now we're bringing our bombers out. And this is the thing with carriers. You want to cycle your aircraft. And here we are cycling our aircraft so that the losses incurred through the strikes can be recuperated. And another way to reduce losses is to reduce the number of planes in your squadron. So pre-dropping is an option. So you actually use these tactics in PvP, and because bots in operations get buffed AA when you're using a tier 8 ship, you need to use the PvP tactics when you're running a tier 8 carrier. When you're running a tier 6 carrier, you need to do it even more, unless you are in a full div and everybody's running a tier 6 ship, because then the enemy get debuffed AA. And see, we got a torp protection hit and a citadel. It's very not I forget the word. My English is failing me. It's not easy to... Yeah, they see, there we go. The theoretical center of the ship, and they go to the right. You can't expect to have the same results over and over. It's the definition of insanity where you do the same thing over and over, except you do get different results. So you are feeding the insanity. I believe it was Einstein who said the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and expecting different results. Well, it's the opposite. You do the same thing over and over expecting the same result, but get different. Welcome to RNG. And unlike the German tech tree planes, only the torpedo bombers get the heal. So the dive bombers don't get the heal, you just get a larger squadron of them. And you can use the heal at... There's a few times that you can use the heal, and that would be when you want to get a drop in, or when you're running away and you want to heal back up, you accidentally ran into a flat cloud or something. Or you have fighters attached. You can actually heal through most of the damage a fighter does. If you have a full squadron and the fighters latch on, you can do that. And I do that a lot with Kaga and PvP. But here we're just throwing away fighters. We're hoping to catch set fires. No, we don't want to catch fire. We want to set fire. And the rockets individually on Graf Zeppelin planes do a decent amount of damage. It's just they do so few of them. And it has, unlike the tech tree German ones, it has the long aim time that the British and the Americans have. Which is fine for targets that are practically standing still, but for ones that aren't. Oh, and then they don't have good penetration. So if you notice, we got 4 non-penetrations on Bayern. Because Bayern has good armor and the rockets don't have good penetration. The Graf Zeppelin there is for the one gimmick and one gimmick only, which is having more firepower than most light cruisers in the game. I think it actually has more guns than... there we go. We got a Citadel. And that's the thing you kind of expect, I've come to expect with the bombers, is if a good hit is 1 miss and 1 Citadel. Sometimes, that's a rare thing, you get 2 Citadels like that, but usually you just get 1 or none. But yeah, no, if you can focus down things, if you're aiming at the battleships, you're just farming damage, unless they're the only things left, and which you need to take them out. If you can, if you feel confident, go for destroyers first. If not, you go for the cruisers. The reason why I say you go for the destroyers first is because destroyers don't have a citadel. And so any damage you do is helpful for them. Helpful for your team. If you go for the cruisers first, you're taking away the burst damage that your team can do. Unless you're using bombs that can citadel things. The Shokaku with the upgraded planes can, I believe it can citadel Kuma with the rocket planes. Possibly Yahagi too. It's probably going to miss, but we're just here to attract the fighter planes. Or these, as I mentioned before, those are the throwaway ones. And if you notice, we're getting kind of low. The last wave of ships here, of the 3 waves, does have the highest AA rating, but the main attack actually gets a higher AA rating. This one's just so concentrated because you have all the ships. In fact, it might have more AA than any individual side on the other one because it has so many ships in a high concentration. Have you noticed that the Graf Zeppelin has a circular reticle? That's what makes it so hard. Because with the elongated reticle, you can mostly get the ship in the reticle, so you know you're going to hit the ship. You just don't know where on the ship it's going to hit. But the circular one, it's usually wider than the ship, and that's why it misses so often and is so inconsistent. That's the word I was thinking of earlier, consistency. Dual language problems. When you learn another language, you forget the other language you know. So Graf Zeppelin's bombers are not nearly as consistent as the other carrier bombers.
Reporting. Enemy cruisers entered the combat zone. They're chasing our aircraft carrier.
And so I was lining up to get the other 2, but I decided to go for Rune instead. Because on this side, Rune has the highest AA. And is also very slow getting out. So it's easier to aim torps. Or that was the plan anyways. You notice I haven't been using the heal at all. I just haven't had a need or a situation where it would be all that helpful. If you notice that one tick, that means Rune used its DCP. Because the first torpedoes did not set a flood. Yeah, the German aerial torpedoes, they hit like wet noodles. They make pan-European torpedoes seem wonderful in exchange. Then again, all aerial torpedoes do less damage than the pan-European torpedoes. The German ones just do a lot less. You see, I'm trying to dodge flak by timing the attacks and timing the jumps, but it doesn't always work. And right now, this time right now, is when if you are in a normal carrier, you should move to the back. In fact, maybe a little bit earlier this, you should start moving to the back. Because they're all approaching in, and more or less none of the ships have died, and we've lost one ally. So you should be moving back or clearing a path to escape. Graf Zeppelin, on the other hand, you can sit here for longer because your secondaries will come into play And with your secondaries in play, then you can, well, do damage to things. And part of being in a carrier is noticing a flank, and so we noticed that the Hampshire was more or less alone over here. And so we're here to help the Hampshire, but also to help ourselves because the Z-23 is coming after us. And we'll need to work on that. Also the other destroyer. So now we're getting ready to move, and we're out of planes. So we're not going to do much with our planes anymore. We've been practically deplaned. 2, we have good secondaries. And with the Z-23 distracted by the fort, actually, we might actually be able to get a kill in before it decides to torp us. Oh, there comes the torpedoes. And because we're piloting the ship, and one of the torp racks was damaged, so it was only able to get one, we are able to survive with half of our HP. And so now we're able to bring our secondaries into the fight. But we run aground because it's also not the most maneuverable ship. And the enemies, they always shoot HE at carriers, so you don't have to worry about getting sitted out unless you're in a ranger. But by angling, we're trying to make as small a target as possible while we secondary down the Musashi. And see, if that was armor piercing, we probably would have been down. But it was just high explosive, so we were fine. And so now what we're doing is we are letting our secondaries, we're letting the 150s focus on the Musashi beside us, which just died, and that's why we did the priority target. And even though it doesn't help increase accuracy, the 105s, those are the ones that we wanted to target on there, because they could fire from both sides, and so you can choose which target the majority of the secondaries are shooting on. This is the thing with battleships too. Even if you don't have priority target, you can manually target things by control clicking ships to be able to determine where the majority of your secondaries are going. Now with that, we only lost 2 ships and we have a win, so we don't have to worry about that. Barely any HP as we're escaping and running away. If you're in a normal carrier, you want to be in the back or clear out a side. Try and focus and clear out a side so you can have a way to run away. But this time we had that. And now with carriers, you really aren't going to get top of the team. It was hard to get top of the team with the tier 6 carriers, but tier 8 carriers, it's everything with the inflated HP, you're not going to get much. And at the carrier rework, focusing on kills rather than damage. Not carrier rework. There was an economic reworking for carriers that included where they got the XP and credits from, and how the maintenance cost was. Anyways, that messed with it. And so you're really not going to get top of the team with a carrier. But what you can do is do the best to help your team win. And I know this is I was in a division. I really wouldn't have changed anything that I did if I was not in division. But yeah, with other carriers, you do want to run away earlier. That's the only difference really with other carriers in this game. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any questions or comments, feel free to reply below. And if there's a ship or something that you want to have featured, please let me know. Right now, I'm looking at doing a cruiser for the next week for Hermes and a carrier for the following week in Killer Whale. For Hermes, I have a few options for cruisers from videos I have, but I am planning on doing a cruiser for Hermes. And then, yeah, Killer Whale is going to be carrier because I apparently don't have many carrier videos up, and this seems to be my second carrier video. And that's strange considering I have all the Tech Tree Tier 10 carriers. So, anyways, if you like this video, give us a thumbs up. If you didn't, thumbs down. If you want to see more videos, hit the subscribe button. If you don't, it's up to you. I hope you have a good one, and hopefully see you next week.